Hi, my fourth graders. I am Mrs. Fleming. I know you haven't seen my face for a while, but I am still here. If you notice, my face in this video is pretty white, and it is because I'm getting closer and closer to our blinds, and I'm still not using any lights on the top. I'm just using the sun from outside. And today is a very gray day, but it's a perfect day for me to be able to get these chapters read. So I don't mind. My whole point of this is just getting you the content, getting you the story. It's not me looking good or wonderful or the best lighting or the best color. So I'm okay with it. We are actually, well, first I want to tell you where I'm sitting. First, I'm going to let you know I'm sitting in our VIP desk, which is why I'm super close to the window. If you can remember, that was far back to the window. This was in one of, I'm pretty sure it was in one of our daily announcements. But the last people, it was supposed to be in one of our daily announcements, but the last people that got voted into the VIP desk were Toby and Shavi. So technically right now I'm sitting at Toby and Shavi's desk. Toby and Shavi were voted right before our big break. And our focus for our skill for that week was on focusing on what we could control. And they were going to be able to come back and take that VIP desk when we came back to school, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to do that. So I want them to get recognized and get like a little bit, we usually clap for our VIPs. So way to go, Toby and Shavi. I miss you. And I'm reading it at your desk, your VIP desk right now. So we're on chapter 14. 14 is a really short chapter. We've been having some really long, about half an hour chapters. 14 goes very quickly. So this is a great one if you have a couple of minutes just to watch. This is a great one to keep for one of those type of days. So let's go ahead and start. Chapter 14. I become a known fugitive. I'd love to tell you I had some deep revelation on my way down, that I came to terms with my own mortality, laughing in the face of death, etc. And if we remember, when they say on my way down, remember he was on the very top of that arch at the end of chapter 13 in St. Louis, and then he was like, I gotta jump, and he's on his way down into the Mississippi. The truth? My only thought was, The river raced toward me at the speed of a truck. Wind ripped the breath from my lungs. Steeples and skyscrapers and bridges tumbled in and out of my vision. And then, flaboom! A whiteout of bubbles. I sank through the murk, sure that I was about to end up embedded in 100 feet of mud and lost forever. But my impact with the water hadn't hurt. I was falling slowly now, bubbles trickling up through my fingers. I settled on the river bottom soundlessly. A catfish the size of my stepfather lurched away into the gloom. Clouds of silt and disgusting garbage, beer bottles, old shoes, plastic bags, swirled up all around me. At that point, I realized a few things. First, I had not been flattened into a pancake. I had not been barbecued. I couldn't even feel the chimera poison boiling in my veins anymore. I was alive, which was good. Second realization, I wasn't wet. I mean, I could feel the coolness of the water. I could see where the fire on my clothes had been quenched, but when I touched my own shirt, it felt perfectly dry. I looked at the garbage floating by and snatched an old cigarette lighter. No way, I thought. I flicked the lighter. It sparked. A tiny flame appeared right there at the bottom of the Mississippi. I grabbed a soggy hamburger wrapper out of the current, and immediately the paper turned dry. I lit it with no problem. As soon as I let it go, the flames sputtered out. The wrapper turned back into a slimy rag. Weird. But the strangest thing, oh my goodness, guys, I'm stopping. But the strangest thought occurred to me only last. I was breathing. I was underwater, and I was breathing normally. I stood up, thigh deep in mud. My legs felt shaky. My hands trembled. I should have been dead. The fact that I wasn't seemed like, well, a miracle. I imagined a woman's voice, a voice that sounded a bit like my mother's. Percy, what do you say? Thanks? If you can remember, when he jumped down, he actually said something to his father. He kind of like prayed to his dad at first, said, Father, help me. So now he's saying thanks. Thank you, Father. No response. Just the dark drift of garbage downriver, the enormous catfish gliding by me, the flash of sunset on the water's surface far above, turning everything the color of butterscotch. Why had Poseidon saved me? The more I thought about it, the more ashamed I felt. So I'd gotten lucky a few times before. Against a thing like the Chimera, I had never stood a chance. Those poor people in the arch were probably toast. I couldn't protect them. I was no hero. Maybe I should just stay down here a while with the catfish. Join the bottom feeders. Floom, floom, floom. A riverboat's paddle wheel turned above me, swirling the silt around. There, not 5 feet in front of me, was my sword, its gleaming bronze hilt sticking up in the mud. I heard the woman's voice again. Percy, take the sword. Your father believes in you. This time, I knew the voice wasn't in my head. I wasn't imagining it. Her words seemed to come from everywhere, rippling through the water like dolphin sonar. Where are you? I called aloud. Then, through the gloom, I saw her. A woman the color of the water, a ghost in the current, floating just above the sword. She had long, billowing hair, and her eyes, barely visible, were green like mine. A lump formed in my throat. I said, Mom? No, child. Only a messenger, though your mother's fate is not as hopeless as you believe. Go to the beach in Santa Monica. What? It is your father's will. Before you descend into the other underworld, you must go to Santa Monica. Please, Percy, I cannot stay long. The river here is too foul for my presence. But I was sure this woman was my mother, or a vision of her anyway. Who? How do you? There was so much I wanted to ask. The words just jammed up in my throat. I cannot stay, brave one, the woman said. She reached out, and I felt the current brush my face like a caress. You must go to Santa Monica, and Percy, do not trust the gifts. Her voice faded. Gifts? I asked. What gifts? Wait! She made one more attempt to speak, but the sound was gone. Her image melted away. If it was my mother, I'd lost her again. I felt like drowning myself. The only problem, that I was immune to drowning. Your father believes in you, she had said. She'd also called me brave. Unless she was talking to the catfish. I waded toward Riptide and grabbed it by the hilt. The Chimera still might be up there with its sneaky, fat mother waiting to finish me off. At the very least, the mortal police would be arriving, trying to figure out who had blown a hole in the arch. If they found me, they'd have some questions. I capped my sword, stuck my ballpoint pen in my pocket. Thank you, Father, I said again in the dark water. Then I kicked up through the muck and swam for the surface. I came ashore next to a floating McDonald's. A block away, every emergency vehicle in St. Louis was surrounding the arch. Police helicopters circled overhead. The crowd of onlookers reminded me of Times Square on New Year's Eve. A little girl said, Mama, that boy walked out of the river. That's nice, dear, her mother said, craning her neck to watch the ambulance. But he's dry. That's nice, dear. A news lady was talking for the camera. Probably not a terrorist attack, we're told, but it's still very early in the investigation. The damage, as you can see, is very serious. We're trying to get some of the survivors to question them about eyewitness reports of someone falling from the arch. Survivors. I felt a surge of relief. Maybe the park ranger and the family made it out safely. I hoped Annabeth and Grover were okay. I tried to push through the crowd to see what was going on inside the police line. An adolescent boy, another reporter was saying. Channel 5 had learned that surveillance cameras show an adolescent boy going wild on the observation deck, somehow setting off this freak explosion. Hard to believe, John, but that's what we're hearing. Again, no confirmed fatalities. I backed away, trying to keep my head down. I had to go a long way around the police perimeter. Uniformed officers and news reporters were everywhere. I'd almost lost hope of ever finding Annabeth and Grover when a familiar voice bleated, Percy! I turned and got tackled by Grover's bear hug. Or groat hug. He said, We thought you'd gone to Hades the hard way. Annabeth stood behind him, trying to look angry, but even she seemed relieved to see me. We can't leave you alone for 5 minutes? What happened? I sort of fell. Percy, 630 feet? Behind us, a cop shouted, Gangway! The crowd parted and a couple of paramedics hustled out, rolling a woman on a stretcher. I recognized her immediately as the mother of the little boy who'd been on the observation deck. She was saying, and then this huge dog, this huge fire-breathing chihuahua. Okay, ma'am, the paramedic said. Just calm down. Your family's fine. The medication is starting to kick in. I'm not crazy. This boy jumped out of a hole and the monster disappeared. Then he saw me. There he is. That's the boy. I turned quickly and pulled Annabeth and Grover after me. We disappeared into the crowd. What's going on? Annabeth demanded. Was she talking about the Chihuahua in the elevator? I told them the whole story of the Chimera, Echidna, and my high dive act, and the underwater lady's message. Whoa, said Grover. We gotta get you to Santa Monica. You can't ignore a summons from your dad. Before Annabeth could respond, we passed another reporter doing a news break, and I almost froze in my tracks when he said, Percy Jackson. That's right, Dan. Channel 12 has learned that the boy who may have caused this explosion fits the description of a young man wanted by authorities for a serious New Jersey bus accident 3 days ago. And the boy is believed to be traveling west. For our viewers at home, here is a photo of Percy Jackson. We ducked around the news vans and slipped into an alley. First things first, I told Grover. We've got to get out of town. Somehow we made it back to the Amtrak station without getting spotted. We got on board the train just before it pulled out for Denver. The train trundled west as darkness fell, police lights still pulsing against the St. Louis skyline behind us. And that was 11 minutes. That was probably our quickest chapter yet. That was chapter 14. Whew, guys, we're getting there. Chapter 22 is our last one, and we are now on chapter 15. So it's getting good. We know Percy is a half-god, but this kind of quest is getting a little bit weird. Are they going to go to Santa Monica? Are they going to go to the underworld? Where are they going to go next? Let's see if the title to the next chapter gives us any clues. Chapter 15. A god buys us cheeseburgers. See you later, guys.